Will you make sure?
Your Honor, State of Ohio versus Daniel Kovarbasich, 10CR079972.
And how would you like to proceed?
Usually you have the defense go first if you're switching it.
No, that'd be fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Attorney Bradley.
I was going to request, since we have a burden, since there's a presumption in favor of prison in this case, to overcome that presumption, that I be permitted to speak last.
Well, I think what the format that I'm going to use is I will let people make presentations until they're tired. So don't worry about not getting in the last word. I can probably recall what is said during the course of the year.
The law in the state of Ohio tells the court that manslaughter is not a crime that carries mandatory time. The law tells the court that there is a presumption that a person who's convicted of manslaughter should go to prison, unless the court looks at more serious factors and less serious factors, and looks at recidivism likely factors and recidivism less likely factors, and in weighing those factors finds that the presumption of incarceration has been overcome in this particular case. And I would ask the court to allow me to reserve some time to respond to anything the prosecutor has to say, and then I would finish up my presentation to the court.
Thank you, Attorney Bradley.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Duane was a loving, giving man with a heart as big as the world. A man who died terrified and alone with an evil person. We have lost someone very precious to us who is good and wonderful in our lives. We can imagine no worse form of the offense of voluntary manslaughter and hope that the court sentences the defendant to the maximum permitted by law. To the defendant, you are the epitome of evil. No matter what your sentence, you will forever carry with you the fact that you are a cold-blooded murderer. Two of your former teachers believed that you would end up killing someone someday. It's unfortunate for Duane that their prediction came true.
To put it one way, the one thing this trial proved was that the defendant in this case sees the truth as a fluid concept. He changes it, molds it, and uses it for whatever benefit he can. That's what he does. And the original story I was confronted with, Your Honor, was the same one that he lied to when he told his parents, he told police officers, he told a juvenile psychologist, people you're all supposed to trust in the process of disclosure, and we can only assume told his attorneys, as they repeatedly placed it into the newspapers in interviews. We can only assume that they believe that was the original story and were passing it on for those reasons. That story, Your Honor, was going to be contradicted by the evidence. That story included that he was there to get a ride to school, that he intended to go that day. One lie. That Duane came into the room with a knife and pushed him onto the bed. Two lies. He said Duane was very calm and Daniel feared that Duane was going to sexually assault him, particularly since Duane said the locks had been changed to prevent Daniel from running out of the house. That never came out of trial. That's lie number 3. Daniel threw a pickle jar at Duane's head when he saw the knife in Duane's hands. That would be lie number 4. Duane demanded sexual favors from him. That would be 5. Daniel began running to the door to escape the house. We know he never did that. That's 6. He complained that he can still smell the pickles. He described Duane as chasing him through the house with a knife. Once he was trapped in the living room, Daniel punched Duane and said that he thought fast, was able to get the knife, fight him off, and kill him. The physical evidence in the scene, which I discussed with Mr. Kinlan, would have shown that to be a lie.
Talking about the law, under no circumstances does the law permit a 55-year-old man to engage in sexual conduct or sexual contact with someone who is under the age of 16. For the prosecutor to say quid pro quo, which means something for something, means that 15-year-olds can be prostitutes. That an adult, as long as that 15-year-old wants something in return, can do whatever they want because it's a quid pro quo. Well, that's baloney. That's why the law says when you become an adult, stay away from young people. And especially if you're in a position of a parent, a coach, or a teacher. Or in loco parentis, which means acting like a parent, which I think that the law may say Duane Hurley did in this particular case.
This case is not about gay men. I think most of us here know that are in this courthouse day after day understand that most sex offenses against young people are committed by heterosexual men, not by gay men. So I certainly find no fault with Duane Hurley for what occurred to him, probably at birth. I feel bad that there would never be a way that he could express that sexual preference in any meaningful way with anyone without breaking the law. And I hope that people remember Duane for all the good that he did for kids. Most of it altruistic. That gave me a little better understanding of what occurred here. I would agree with the state of Ohio that Daniel's story did change. It varied. It went from self-defense to no defense at all. But I don't find that change in the account is due to his calculating personality or intellect. The psychological report, mental status report that was conducted before this matter was bound over to the adult system indicated that, although not mentally ill, Daniel was very low functioning at the time this offense was committed. I hope that the conclusion is that the low functioning was due to a lack of interest rather than a lack of intellect. Therefore, it will be the judgment of law and sentence of the court that this defendant serve a community control sanction with a term of 5 years, which will expire on August 12, 2015. Before completing this community control sanction, the defendant will receive a high school education and a driver's license. He will be under intensive supervision for a period of 5 years. He will remain incarcerated until admitted to a program of rehabilitation selected by the court. That being said, deputies, you may take control of Mr. Kovarbasich for a moment, and we are adjourned.